Let's explore emptiness and then meditate. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi. This is the Lama you were looking for. This evening, we could chant and meditate and enjoy a lesson or two, but first, if you love Star Wars and you wish to meditate as transformatively as Luke Skywalker on Dagobah under the guidance of Yoda, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. If at any point during this evening's live stream, at any point at all, you have a question about Buddhist meditation or Buddhist philosophy or even Buddhist chanting, there is no need to be shy. Simply type your question in great detail in the chat window on the right-hand side of your screen. So there's a lot of confusion all over the world, and especially in philosophy, and especially in Buddhism. Why is that? Well, I'm going to do my best to explain that by tapping button number 2 and using an aid. So, the more one reads the 81 chapters of the Tao Te Ching, the more one sees that it's not just random couplets of folksy advice, but there's patterns. And one of the things we begin to recognize is that the author of the Tao Te Ching seemed to feel that philosophical yang was to be avoided and philosophical yin was to be embraced. That we are, instead of being rigid and controlling, we are to be flexible and laid back. Most of the teachers most of the commentators out there, most of the books out there, and sadly, most of the teachers you encounter will be more rigid and controlling than they will be flexible and laid back. Sadly, fortunately, the minority are elitist. The majority are just lazy-minded. When being lazy-minded is good news, you're dealing with some dark information. So, here's the problem. When facing the subject of emptiness, most people are so rigid, they only approach it literally. And because of their literalness, they're faced with a choice to engage in pseudo-intellectual skullduggery or the superstition of blind faith. Neither is a good choice. When we approach emptiness from a place of being flexible, we can see there is at least a possibility that emptiness might be figurative. Excuse me. By the way, if you just joined, welcome. When you have a question, type it in the chat window. I should say when you have a question about Buddhist meditation or philosophy, type it in the chat window. So let's get back to emptiness. Now that we've discussed what it's not, let's discuss what it is. It is a figurative tool. When we look at the Buddha's first sermon, the Four Noble Truths, we see that there are many stressors. Ask a biologist, they'll tell you. We are subject to circumstantial stressors and physical stressors and interpersonal stressors and mental stressors. These are not imaginary. We evolved the capacity to perceive stressors as a survival mechanism. The second noble truth is that whatever situation we find ourselves in, no matter how bad it is, don't worry, humans can make it much worse. We do that by inappropriately indulging our survival impulses. Categorically, vaguely, we are wired to shove at some things, to reach for some things, and to cling to some things. Now, we may be very good to cling to a rock face when the alternative is plummet to a certain death. That makes perfect sense. But anybody who's ever had a first love knows the dangers of being clingy or being clung to. And that it's pretty hard for a relationship to survive that. So we can see that the survival mechanisms that evolved to protect us sometimes are misapplied to harm us. And so the problem is not the presence of these primal drives, but their tyranny. The third fold of... No, I'm getting my adjectives confused. I'm getting my fingers confused now. The third noble truth. Hey, Patricia, to you I give a great big psychic hug. The third noble truth is that, don't worry, there's a way to experience liberation, not from the presence of our primal survival drives, but from their tyranny. Let's pretend we lived in a country, America, where people had an unhealthy love for guns, and we heard a knock on the door. Well, our primal drives might tell us, there is a villain and they're going to kill me. I need to shoot them to death through the door. But if we're really good at recognizing our primal drives and sidestepping them and letting go of them, then we might not make the 6 o'clock news. The fourth noble truth is that there is a way to accomplish the third noble truth. It's not because of some divine caprice that real or imagined celestial entities just sprinkle us with pixie dust and make all our problems go away, but there's a method we can employ to rapidly gain liberation from the tyranny of our 9 times out of 10 destructive impulses. Good news. So how does emptiness figure into that? Well, in a discourse, the Buddha described the 7 enlightenment factors. The first one is mindfulness, noticing. There is, let's see. The fifth is tranquility. So there's an idea of noticing and releasing. That sounds pretty good. Now enter neuroscience. We were wired in such a way, or I should say our autonomic nervous system is wired in such a way so that every time we breathe, we access the sympathetic nervous system that is wired for us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. And every time, here it is, here comes emptiness, every time we exhale, due to our parasympathetic nervous system, we are wired to physically relax and mentally release. And here comes emptiness. We're wired to physically relax and mentally release as if that which we had noticed during our previous inhalation now felt as non-graspable as a vast, empty void. Did you notice all those as's? That's a simile. As non-graspable as a vast, empty void. Now, any grammar school teacher can tell you a simile is only as good as it is relatable. What's a real-world example of a non-graspable, vast, empty void? Glad you asked. How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is intangible to the hand? I'm trying to do Doug Hennings here. I guess I don't have the flexibility. I have to do it like that. So, that's it. If we take emptiness as some weird, difficult, bizarro, esoteric theory that we have to spend a PhD understanding, it's going to be daunting. But remember, the Buddha said full enlightenment can be accomplished in as little as 7 days. That infers it could be really, really easy if we just get good advice, and then for an interesting change of pace, actually follow it. So, we are wired to practice mindfulness effortlessly with each in-breath. We're wired to let go easily with each exhalation. Perhaps that is why we meditate. And hey, did someone just say meditate? I think we should meditate, but first let's take 1 minute for housekeeping. If you find value in my teachings and instructions and techniques and group practice and my enthusiasm to answer questions when you type them in the chat window, if you value those things, then let me take 1 moment to remind you that with your assistance, this channel could help to support the next generation of nuns, monks, yogis, lamas, and even brick-and-mortar meditation centers, each replete with a resident teacher and their apprentice. If that sounds good to you and you'd like to help out, even for as little as the cost of 1 cup of coffee a month, just use your smartphone's camera to capture this QR code. Unless you're old school, then you can simply click one of the donation links in the description area below the video. Looks like I'm doing an interpretive dance, doesn't it? Okay. Let's chant the Heart of Wisdom Sutra. And for an interesting change of pace, let's chant it percussively. With each syllable, clap your hands like you're doing a golf clap. I'll be doing the version with the Zen wooden drum. The noble Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, while practicing the deep practice of Prajnaparamita, looked upon the 5 skandhas and seeing they were empty of self-existence, said, "Here, Shariputra, form is emptiness, emptiness is form, emptiness is not separate from form, form is not separate from emptiness. Whatever is form is emptiness, whatever is emptiness is form." The same holds for sensation and perception, memory and consciousness. Here Shariputra, all dharmas are defined by emptiness, not by birth or destruction, purity or defilement, completeness or deficiency. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, no perception, no memory, and no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, and no mind. No shape, no sound, no smell, no taste, no feeling, and no thought. No element of perceptions from mind to conceptual consciousness. No causal link from consciousness to old age and death. No end of causal link from consciousness to old age and death. No suffering, no source, no relief, no path. No knowledge, no attainment, and no non-attainment. Therefore Shariputra without attainment. Bodhisattvas take refuge in Prajnaparamita and live without the wall of the mind. Without walls of the mind, and thus without fears, they see through delusions and finally accomplish nirvana. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, also take refuge in Prajnaparamita and realize unexcelled perfect enlightenment. You should therefore know the great mantra of Prajnaparamita, the mantra of great magic, the unexcelled mantra. The mantra equal to the unequaled, which heals all suffering and is true, not false. The mantra in Prajnaparamita is spoken thus: Gate gate para sangate bodhi swaha. Now, quick like a bunny, I'm going to do a quick edit because I thought of a real fun application of this mantra, especially when a loved one is in the hospital. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, I see you. Okay, so let's go all the way back and quick like a bunny. Let's hit cut and go to, let's see, 21, 22, minus 2 was 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. All right. Paste. 1, 2, 3. Oh no, Mr. Bill. Okay. Copy. Do 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 do. That's why people say Lama Jigme's teachings are doo-doo. Okay. Copy, and then we do the Harlem Shuffle. Okay, Cowabunga, and the words of the prophet Bart Simpson. So let's pretend we had a loved one who was ill or the hospital or had some sort of a health malady and we were concerned. Let's pretend we felt fear, because fear is a monosyllabic word that's easy to recite silently and mentally. So let's play with the rhetorical question. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite, "How relax into the awareness of this fear." As we exhale, we can chant, I forgot how many syllables this mantra is. Gate, gate, para, san, gate, bodhi, swaha. 17 syllables. Okay, here we go. Gate, gate, mara, sam, gate, bodhi, swaha. Gate, gate, para, san, gate, bodhi, swaha. Gate, gate, para, san, gate, bodhi, swaha. Gate, gate, para, san, gate, bodhi, swaha. Excuse the hell out of me. Gate, gate, para, san, gate, bodhi, swaha. 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 Okay, now does that eradicate all illness everywhere? No. Does that take a soldering iron to our amygdala, the fear center of our brain? Oh God, no. But it does help us cope with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Having said that, let's meditate. There are many styles of meditation. One of them that's misunderstood is the physically oriented, metaphoric practice of Soto Zen's just sitting. Where is the cursor? Come here, Mr. Cursor. Where'd you go? There you go. Fabulous. Now, most people make the mistake of practicing literally and then they wonder why nothing happens. So here's what we're going to do. As we breathe in, we're going to allow our diaphragmatic breathing to act as the engine that drives our tall posture. Now, diaphragmatic breathing induced tall sitting does not fall trippingly off the tongue. So I've reduced it down to just 3 syllables, diatol. That sounds like medicinal, doesn't it? Now, from the makers of Tylenol, it's diatol. During your exhalation, please silently and mentally recite relaxing. Now, why are we doing this? This optimizes our physiology for the perception and the awareness and acquiescence that we mentioned during the opening lesson. So as we sit there and silently and mentally recite diatol, we will notice stuff. We will notice sights, scents, sounds, flavors, and sensations. and the like. We will also notice emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. It's not our job to chase them or shove them away. We give ourselves permission to notice them passively, like a patron at a play, not the screenwriter, not the director. You're just enjoying the show. Sometimes the show will be in the foreground, sometimes it'll be in the background. Sit tall, diatol, relaxing, and we allow the inner therapist of our autonomic nervous system to help us make peace with the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. It is 25 minutes after the hour. Let's meditate. Let's take a moment to warm our body up. Let's lean one way. Let's lean the other way. Let's find a happy medium. Let us twist one way. Let's twist the other way. Let's find the happy medium. Let's take a ridiculously energetic set of inhalation and exhalation. And now let's kick back. Let us consider a great irony in life. Despite the debacle of the last 200 or 300 years, for more than 300,000 years, our species has been practicing natural burial. Within the span of but a few months to years, we are composted by the earth. After a lifetime of being treated like shit, we become actual compost and feed the roses. I think that's actually beautiful. You know, I don't want my cadaver to be pumped full of carcinogens and stuck into a concrete crypt. What a waste of resources. Compost me. Allow me to be that which feeds the next generation of cantaloupes. Why, that even found its way into the sci-fi novel Dune Chapter House. Then, what's the difference between human and compost? Well, they're both treated like shit, but the compost doesn't seem to mind. And yes, when done properly, it gets rid of the pathogens. If you've just joined me, welcome aboard. When you have a question about Buddhist meditation or philosophy, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. We've trained in wisdom by chanting the Heart Sutra. Now let us train in wishing love. First, by chanting for universal liberation. May I, like the Buddha, master the Eightfold Path as well as liberate all others. May I, like the Buddha, master the Eightfold Path as well as liberate all others. May I, like the Buddha, master the Eightfold Path as well as liberate all others. May all beings practice have kind communication, conduct, and calmness flow from sentence spontaneity. May all beings practice have kind communication, conduct, and calmness flow from sentence spontaneity. May all beings practice have kind communication, conduct, and calmness flow from scented spontaneity. May each being take auspicious rebirth, master the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. May each being take auspicious rebirth, master the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. May each being take auspicious rebirth, master the Buddha's path, and then help all others do likewise. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. May everyone be free from stress, may everyone be happy. May no one be separated from the happiness. May everyone have balance from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging freed. If you feel I have earned it, type something in the chat window, give this live stream a thumbs up, and share it on social media. In approximately 10 3/4 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early morning meditation. Until then, may you and yours be happy and healthy. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.